Eagles with a couple injuries last week. Greg Calcaterra left the field, did not come back. We need an update on that. Milt Williams came out of practice and need time. Zach Pascal with food poisoning. Rick, I thought that's why the Eagles were practicing less, so that they didn't get injured. You can still get food poisoning even if you're only going through 58-minute practices? What the hell? What's going on?
Well, to their credit, they built up the last practice to 90 minutes, so they're getting there. But yeah, that's some kind of food poisoning. I mean, I've had food poisoning, and it's really bad. I've never had 3-day food poisoning, so I don't know if that's extra precaution because maybe he lost some weight, getting his fluids back, holding him out. I think three straight practices he's already missed. Calcaterra, I mean, we talked about the durability issues.
He's Ric Serritella, filling in for John McMullen here on Word 365. K-Mac's already headed over to the Novacare Complex where Nick Sirianni will speak to the media. And then, well, see, maybe I shouldn't even say that. New week, my guess is it's going to be Sirianni, but they rotate a couple of different coaches in. So he'll talk to one Eagle coach today. I think he'll probably be the head coach, but I don't know that. So we'll have to wait and find out exactly what Eagle coach is going to talk, and they'll get a chance to watch Eagle practice again. A couple of things from Eagle practice first week. John gave us some certainly insight because he was down there, and he's got a firsthand look at things. The one thing we didn't get to, which I wanted to get to, but we got sidetracked by Sue Robinson. I didn't know her decision was going to come in during the time that John was still with us. Eagles with a couple injuries last week. Greg Calcaterra left the field, did not come back. We need an update on that. Milt Williams came out of practice and need time. Zach Pascal with food poisoning. Rick, I thought that's why the Eagles were practicing less, so that they didn't get injured. You can still get food poisoning even if you're only going through 58-minute practices? What the hell? What's going on?
Well, to their credit, they built up the last practice to 90 minutes, so they're getting there. But yeah, that's some kind of food poisoning. I mean, I've had food poisoning, and it's really bad. I've never had 3-day food poisoning, so I don't know if that's extra precaution because maybe he lost some weight, getting his fluids back, holding him out. I think three straight practices he's already missed. Calcaterra, I mean, we talked about the durability issues, and more so we were focused on the concussions, but you hate to see him get dinged up early on in camp as an undrafted free agent, a guy that has some potential here. I think that kind of opens up the door now for Jack Stoll to maybe sneak in and earn a roster spot at the tight end. I do think, and it's the first of the month. Here we are in August. I do think the Eagles will monitor, that first and second cut down, which tight ends are out there on the market. I think they're going to keep their eye on the free agent waiver wire there, because we talked about the offensive line being the strongest unit. To me, tight end is probably the biggest question mark. And after you get past Goddard, what do you really have there? And if he goes down, boy, Richard Rodgers, okay, stopgap guy, but what are you really working with?
Right. And by the way, Richard Rodgers on PUP and Jackson on PUP. So two guys who would be legitimate backup, not good backups, but legit backups and or potential upside backups aren't even practicing. So that's why, the Calcaterra injury is a pretty significant one. You're right. Would not be surprised if that is a position that Harry Roseman keeps his eye on when roster cuts start to come down. But we're still a couple of weeks away from roster cuts, and the Eagles continue to work out practice-wise. And yes, it's been reported. And if you don't like the numbers that have been put out there on the number of completed passes that Jalen Hurts has in a day-in, day-out basis, then just ignore it. But they are what they are. One thing that has also been reported, and it's a legit question, Ricky, the backup quarterbacks haven't been any good either. It's not like, Jalen Hurts hasn't looked good and Gardner Minshew's looked great, or that Carson Strong has been zipping the ball all over the place. Apparently the backups haven't looked good either. So it is a offense is behind the defense type thing. I gave you credit here on Bird 365 last week because when you and I talk, mostly it's about the lead up to the college draft, which has already started this year. It's a 12-month-a-year thing. As soon as the draft is over and done with, let's look at next year's draft.
Yep.
I give you credit in that you stayed behind Carson Strong all year. You had him highly rated. You did not move off him just because he didn't have a boffo season, a good solid season, but didn't have an off-the-chart season and didn't necessarily impress in any of the postseason work. You stuck by him. You liked the kid. You thought he was a talent, even though he did go undrafted, and the Eagles gave him a good chunk of change to sign here and be an undrafted quarterback on their roster. You still sticking by your Carson Strong's got a chance to be a player evaluation?
Well, hey, I say early indications he's not making me look very smart, but
no,
the Eagles.
It's early though, very early.
But the Eagles did give him $320,000 signing bonus or guaranteed contract for a reason. They saw something there, and I know from what I've read, I haven't been at Eagles camp, but from what I've heard is he is like not just missing, but like balls are sailing 5 yards out of bounds away from the wide receivers. So I don't know if it's nerves or trying to learn the playbook, limited snaps. He's not making most of the opportunity. And we'll see now, do the Eagles keep three quarterbacks? I think that's another legitimate question on this 53-man roster. Do they feel like, did they give him that money because they felt like another team might be interested? Can they afford to stash a Carson Strong on the practice squad? I don't know if they can do that. I will say Gardner Minshew, if anything, has brought a fireball of energy. I think teammates kind of feed off of that. And he really wasn't here for training camp a year ago. He kind of got here right before the start of the season. So it's the first full training camp for Gardner Minshew, who you can argue. I mean, I don't know, Jody. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Can you name a better backup quarterback in the league right now?
No, I could throw one name out there and get everybody commenting on the stream here. The Indianapolis Colts have a pretty good backup quarterback. He did some nice things as a backup quarterback here in Philadelphia as well. I don't know Gardner Minshew or that Nick Foles guy. Yeah, there are a couple good quarterbacks, but Gardner is one of the top backups in the league, if not the best backup in the league. And he is as colorful a character as there is in the NFL when it comes to backup quarterbacks. Don't think any of them we have to worry much about, because Jalen Hurts, for good, bad, or indifferent, is going to be the guy who's going to get the time. One of the guys that Jalen may be throwing to this year is Jalen Reagor, who has gotten a chance to play a little bit more, a couple more reps, given more of a chance because of the Zach Pascal food poisoning. And everybody that I've read said that he has looked good in camp, that he came in physically ready to compete. The coach is on record saying he's competing for a job, not handing him anything because he's a first-round draft pick. We know the depth chart of the Eagles wide receivers. What do you think is going to happen with Jalen Reagor? We've got 2 joint practices and 3 preseason games. We can all evaluate practice as much as we want, but when there's an opponent out there, it does change the philosophy a little bit. How do you think Jalen Reagor's preseason going to shake out? He going to be here on the Birds when the season opens up?
We talked about ego, Jody. It's, something else. And when you invest a first-round pick in a guy, sometimes your decision-making gets clouded and foggy, and you can't see through all that fog. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I do think he's going to be wide receiver 5. Now, it was interesting. They did some special teams work, I think, on the last practice. Jalen Reagor was not one of the guys returning kickoffs or punts, which he needs work on, but maybe they know what they have there. And so if he's not going to be a return man, then I think it does jeopardize his roster spot. Now, I think it's $8 million in dead cap money if they do release him, which is another factor to consider. But to me, at the end of the day, he's not one of the 5 best wide receivers on this roster. And if it was me, I would cut his ass.
Well, and you're right about the dead cap money thing, because do you want to just keep him around and pay less? You actually pay less. His salary this year and the prorated money from his contract would be less than what the dead cap hit would be if they were to cut him. So I don't know that they're in position to do that, even if he's just your 53rd guy, that he is the last guy in the roster and doesn't necessarily get suited up all that often on Sunday. I don't think they're going to cut him. I think they'd trade him tomorrow if they could, and they wouldn't ask for much in return. That's going to be a little embarrassing, too, that 2 years after the fact, you turn around and trade him for a conditional 6th pick, which could go to a 5, depending on how much he plays. Good job, Howie. Yeah, I think they would do that. I think they would swallow hard and take that, but I don't think they're going to flat out cut him. Supposedly DeVonta Smith has not done a lot so far in practice. Now, if you want to put it all on the quarterbacks and say, yeah, that's because the quarterbacks stink. They can't get the ball to DeVonta Smith. He hasn't had a bust out couple practices to start camp this year. A.J. Brown is the shiny new toy. So, yes, he's going to get the most attention. What kind of season do you think DeVonta's going to have coming into the year this year?
I think he's kind of the guy that could really benefit from A.J. Brown the most, because pick your poison. Who are you going to double team? There's going to be a lot of targets coming DeVonta Smith's way. So, A.J. Brown might be the better player right now today, but I could see DeVonta Smith having the most yardage and maybe the most touchdowns. I'm putting 1,100 receiving yards in for DeVonta Smith right now, and at least half a dozen touchdowns. I'm not worried about the slow start in training camp. I think part of that too is probably Hurts wants to build that chemistry, build that rapport with the AJ Brown, get his new guy into the fold. I just hope that it doesn't turn into a situation where, like an Odell Beckham, where you have to force feed him and have to get the ball his way to keep him happy. I want Hurts out there just being able to spray the football around and not feeling like, oh, I got to go to AJ because he might call me out, the veteran guy, But he's been very supportive of Jalen Hurts. And so I think DeVonta Smith is going to benefit from one-on-one coverage immensely.
That's the way I look at it, even though the first couple of days of camp haven't been eye-opening for DeVonta Smith. I let you know how many times you and I went back and forth about how you would rank the Alabama wide receivers, and I always had him at the top of the list.
You did?
And was kind of surprised that he came back for another year when he could have left earlier than he did. So I've been a major fan of the player for a couple of years now, Alabama into Philadelphia. Yeah, I think that the fact that he will not be going against the other team's number one cornerback week in and week out should be advantageous for him. And despite the fact that A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts have been buds since before either one of them ever went to college, he did spend several years at Alabama with his new Eagle teammate, the Eagles quarterback. So he should have good relationships with both of his wide receivers. So if he can get him the ball there, I think both of those guys will make plays. Ricky, I don't know that I've gotten your feeling on this during your fill-in times here with John. The whole Jalen Hurts is going to run less thing this year. We know the Eagles want to pass more. If they didn't, they wouldn't have spent $25 million per on A.J. Brown. They want their overall play call look to be different this year and be more effective with the ball going through the air. But to do that, that means you need to cut back on the plays that Jalen Hurts makes with his legs. Some design runs, some just plays where the options aren't there. When he drops back to pass, he takes off, turns it upfield, makes a first down on his own. How much do you think the Eagles offense will feel that Jalen Hurts isn't running the football as much as he did? If he's passing it effectively and they're getting first downs and putting points on the board, I don't think anybody's going to complain about it. But if they're not, if the passing game is a little slow to start the season this year, will we be hearing things like, well, why isn't Jalen running? He used to run for 70, 80 yards a game this year. What do you mean he had 3 runs for 12 yards? That's not enough out of Jalen Hurts. Any chance we get that early on this year with the Eagles?
Well, yeah, I mean, the fans will root for I don't have, but I think, at the end of the day, if Jalen Hurts rushes for 750 yards again, then the Eagles didn't do their job in terms of strengthening the offense, because the reason why, and I'm cool. Hey, 500 rushing yards, cool. 750 again. That means that he's not making the reads. He's feeling the pressure. A lot of times, if he was uncomfortable, he would take off and run. And I think that's really the graduation step for Jalen Hurts this year, is just being in that offense another year, knowing the system, being able to make those reads and progressions. And not only that, Jody, you got to be able to stand in the pocket and deliver the throw and take and absorb a big hit and stay in the pocket and make those plays downfield. Those are the plays that really make a big difference when you get into postseason football. And so, they can be an efficient offense with a dual threat Jalen Hurts. You're seeing it all over the league now. But yes, I think the less he runs, the more successful the Eagles offense can be. Now, I don't want to take that element out of the offense. I want to play it to my advantage, but I don't want it to be so much of a crutch that he's always looking to tuck and run. And so, again, I was here on Friday, and I think I had Jalen Hurts at about 36 to 3,800 yards passing, 500 yards rushing. And I think between passing and rushing touchdowns, he should have somewhere in the 30 total touchdown range.
And I think some people forget really how effective Jalen Hurts was running the football this year. I just punched up his game log for last year. 7 for 62, 10 for 82. That's 8.2 yards per carry. 9 for 35, 8 for 47, 9 for 30, 10 for 44, 13 for 61, 7 for 74 against the line. Rush for 10 yards per carry. 10 for 62, 13 for 55. Against New Orleans, 18. That's a lot of runs for your quarterback. 69 yards, 8 for 77. They got hurt, missed the game against the Jets, came back 8 for 38. Not terrible against Washington. Only 2 for 7 against the Giants. Didn't need to. They won that game handily. And 7 for 44 against Washington. So toward the second half of the year, the numbers got cut back, but I think that was more because of his injury to his ankle than the Eagles made a concerted effort. It'd be very interesting to see how much Jalen Hurts runs the football this year. All right, we are we're not the Mac and Mac guys because Serritella's in. It's Ric Serritella and Jody McDonald here on Birds 365. Going to add a third voice to the mix for our final 40 minutes. Kevin Kincaid, crossing board, going to jump aboard with us here on Birds 365.